Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Welcome back. It has been a while, quite some time since the Maximized Monday seats were open for myself and a guest. So, what better way to come back than with Tyrina, right? I mean, if you've watched the show, you know who she is, but we figured school's back in session. So, let's get my go to when it comes to career transitions in the education space onto the show because I get a lot of questions. If you've messaged me and I haven't responded yet, I hope you're watching this because I apologize, but I'm going to try to catch up on some of those things. But figured some of the questions I'm getting would be better served with having an expert with me here. So, Tyrina, as always, thank you for jumping on here and coming back for the re-debut episode. It's been like 3 months, so the re-debut of Maximize Mondays here. So appreciate you being here with me.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Definitely. So obviously you're no stranger to the show, but with this such a gap in between, I've probably gained some new followers, some new connections who may not be familiar with the show and some of the episodes that you and I have done together in the past. So just want to start off with just giving a little intro into who Tyrina is. I mean, you've been working and coaching for some time now. So wanted to give you the chance to kind of share that story, what got you into coaching. And, a lot of your work now is with transitioning educators. So, not necessarily that you have to have a specialty when you get into coaching, but you have kind of leaned in that direction for some time now. So what got you into coaching, and then how did you realize that the transitioning educator space was where you could really kind of make an impact and help a lot of people get to the next step in their career outside the classroom?
Absolutely. So I'm Tyrina. For all of you who are new to the podcast, I know you got a lot of new followers on all platforms. I am a career transition coach for educators. I'm coming up on my 4-year anniversary in October.
Congrats.
But I've been helping people my entire life, mainly after college, help them with their resumes and in interview practice and everything. But when I first started coaching people in a transition, it wasn't primarily educators. I had transitioned in my almost 20-year corporate career, quite a few times. I felt out, that current job, like, oh, I think I'm ready to elevate, or I think I'm ready to transition industries. Um, and so I did that a couple of times, and then after COVID is when I started my business. I wanted to help people get jobs. I saw there was a need out there, especially during COVID when they found out they weren't essential workers.
Mm-hmm.
And so, some people reached out to me and said, "Hey, can you help me find a job?" COVID is really messing a lot of things up for me, but I got to keep the money rolling in. The bills don't stop. So I helped quite a few people. And then I decided to start a business.
Yeah.
And I first started out helping family and friends. And the business scaled pretty quickly. Like within the first quarter of me establishing my business as a career coach, at the time for anyone in transition, I had to hire within the same quarter that I started the business.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so after a couple years went by, I, started to acquire more clients. I will say within that second year of business, I acquired my first teacher client.
Okay.
And and at that time the job market wasn't nearly as bad as it is now,
Right.
or as heavily saturated. So I worked with my first transitioning educator, and she actually wanted to move from where she was back to her hometown. She basically got a package on the website, which is www.tlassiterservices.com. But she got a full package that included resume rewrite, cover letter, interview help, the whole nine. And she transitioned within like a month of us helping her. Um, and so after that, and I posted her success story, a lot of teachers flocked to my brand.
Yeah.
And I will say a year after that is when I niched down to just helping educators,
Mm-hmm.
because that was 99% of my clients anyway. I don't know what took me so long to niche down, but I just, my brand just really attracted educators that were ready to do something else, maybe
Yeah.
still stay within education, but outside of the classroom, outside of a school district, maybe.
Cool.
And so I've helped a lot of clients transition to ed tech, nonprofit, and corporate.
Mhm.
Um, I've helped quite a few in all of those aspects. And this year it's the same. You know, we've had tremendous success. Just in the month of August alone, we've had 10 clients get job offers.
Okay.
With some of them are very reputable companies as well, you know.
Yeah.
But it is a mix between like ed tech and nonprofit and corporate. It's not just all ed tech. So, you know, as the job market, you know, changes every year, we're adjusting our processes, mainly for educators. You
Yeah.
know, a lot of educators, they've never been on this side of things.
Right.
They don't know how to interview. They don't know how to job search. They don't know where to look for jobs.
Yeah.
So we offer all of those services.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll discuss some of those services as we go here. But you and I feel like we do this like this episode every summer. The back to school
It's
type
needed.
episodes.
It's
Yeah,
needed though.
definitely, definitely. And it's that time of year, right? Leaves are
Yeah.
starting to fall from trees. School's back in
Yeah.
session. I know my little one went back the other week.
Yep.
So it's that time, and there's two camps that people are in, right? When they're transitioning from education, some of them have kind of renewed their contract, they're staying for another year, they're kind of giving themselves that time to continue searching, but while they have that security of a position they have, others have kind of made the decision, the classroom is no longer for me. So I
Mhm.
want to make sure I'm full-time job searching at this point. So
Yes.
for you when you're working with both candidates, I mean, there's probably ways that they need to approach their search, right? Those that are still in the classroom, a little bit more limited with the time that they have to spend on this. Those who are not still in the classroom, you don't want them to just go out and start having that fury of applying to any and everything that they see and, get fatigued from that whole application process. So what's kind of the strategy for both sides, and how do you go about working with those who are those who are not in the classroom still to make sure that they're giving themselves some grace in terms of finding that job and not kind of trying to do too much at once in both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say a lot of our clients are still in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
We acquired a lot of clients over the summer, and I'm always realistic with them. You know, this process can be 3 to 6 months. So there is a possibility that you may have to job search while, you know, in school. So for those clients, when I do my onboarding meeting with them, I learn a lot more about them. My career specialists, they do consultations,
Mm-hmm.
which are only $10, and they learn about them as well. And then they pass the information on to me. And then I usually have additional questions,
Mm-hmm.
mainly about their job search, how long they've been transitioning, all of that. So when it comes down to their job search, I ask them, you know, I know it's summer, you're out of school, but what does it look like? What does your schedule look like when you're actually in school?
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time, it's a full day, of course.
Yep.
Sometimes teachers, they stay after school to
Right.
do things so they're not bringing work home.
Mm-hmm.
So as I learn them, I learn about their lifestyle, I learn about their scheduling. And what I tell them, it is definitely based on the person.
Sure.
In general, I tell people if you can apply to at minimum at least 5 to 6 jobs a week, that will be fine. In this
Yeah.
job market, you don't want to overdo it. You don't. But you want to be intentional about the jobs that you go after. And that's when where our supportive services come in.
Mm-hmm.
So after your resume is done, I have another department, a supportive team that tweaks your resume as you apply to jobs. And this
Yeah.
is a service that's complimentary regardless of what package you purchase from us.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that that's super helpful because, I mean, you know, because you're a recruiter, every job is not the same.
Right.
You know, this customer success job in ed tech could ask for the person to be well versed in renewals.
Mm-hmm.
This customer success role maybe not focus on renewals. We want to focus on getting new clients in,
Yeah.
you know, so we have to make sure that the resume is tweaked with what they want to see. You
Mm-hmm.
know, we always make sure that they have transferable skills for it, which I feel like teachers, they have transferable skills for hundreds of jobs.
Yeah.
So that's never an
Sure.
issue.
Yeah.
But educators still need help making those tweaks as they apply. So that's one way that we support them.
Yeah.
If you go home, maybe one job a day, you're sending us why you think you're qualified for the job, and then we tweak the resume.
Hmm.
Um, some people aren't able to apply until the weekend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
My team does work weekends, so, send us anything over the weekend too. We'll look it over.
Hmm.
Um, for those educators who have totally resigned, well, of course, they have,
Yeah.
a lot more time. I'm not saying that they're not busy with their family, or they may have some like contract roles or part-time jobs.
Hmm.
But for those people, it's the same process. I ask them, okay, how much time do you really want to dedicate to this? Because I even if you're not working right now, is the process can still be overwhelming. I still want you to use our supportive services. I'm also going to announce very soon that we're starting a service where we look for jobs for them, because once their resume and everything is done, we know their experience, we know what they're looking for.
Hmm.
Um, Especially at the beginning when we help them narrow down jobs. But now I'm starting a service where we actually look for jobs for educators. So by the time they come home, they'll open up the personalized spreadsheet we created for them, and there may be one or two or three roles that are on the spreadsheet that they'll look into. If they're interested in applying to it, they'll go ahead and apply.
Got it.
Um, so again, like the support is the same,
Hmm.
regardless of what scenario you're in. It is a numbers game, but I like to cut down the rejections for our clients. So
Hmm.
I coach them through looking at jobs, deciphering job descriptions and making sure that they have the transferable skills for the role before they apply.
Awesome. Yeah, that's fantastic. Just because I mean, you and I have talked before. The high volume applying, it
Yeah,
never really works. It just leads to more frustration. You get burnout. There's a lot that you and I have talked about this. Transferable
yeah,
skills are there. You can do the job. You can do the job. You need the chance. But if you keep putting that out there without any strategy behind it, then you're kind of doing yourself a disservice. So it's
absolutely.
great that you have that support system in place for sure. So prior to the recording here, you and I were talking a bit, and you mentioned that there have been some offers accepted from your clients recently, and
Yeah,
which is very exciting. And I think you and I have kind of tried to hammer this point home pretty much every episode we've done together. Is that a lot of transitioning educators get into this narrow window of this is what I want to do. I'm leaving the classroom and I want to be in ed tech, or I want to be in L&D or customer success. I think you and I have said those are the top three that we hear,
yeah.
which is, again, it's fine if that's what you want to do. Not to discourage or dissuade, but the market just for job seekers in general is saturated, and those specific markets with a lot of people trying to transition from the classroom into something new, those are the most popular ones. So there's hundreds of people that are applying for an open role. So just wanted to see if there's some new fields or new positions that you've recently found some of your clients have success in that are outside of the three main ones that everyone seems to be attracted to.
Yeah, I mean, mostly they go after those, industries that are still connected with education. I feel that educators feel that's like a safe space for them. They feel like they don't have any other choice outside of the classroom but to go to an educational company, at education technology company. But it is good to add in the mix other roles, especially like in the nonprofit area and then also corporate.
Yeah.
And I will tell you this, when I first started helping educators, most of them were going after the corporate roles. They wanted out of education altogether.
Mm-hmm.
So I was helping them with, my clients were getting interviews at construction companies, real estate companies, hospitals, where they could be trainers for the staff. Um, and so it is important to exhaust your options or open up your net of options,
Yeah.
because sticking within one industry will it will kind of lessen your opportunity that's presented to you or that you're looking for. So for example, one of my recent success stories that I posted on my page, her name is Amanda, and she's a sales support coordinator. And at this company is called Walter Inc. It's like the largest, most diverse industrial equipment productivity solution providers in the country.
Okay.
I'm gonna be honest, I've never heard of them until she got the job.
Gotcha.
But when we were helping her with interviews, I did more research on it, and it was actually in her area.
Yeah.
But like that is an example of, a job that's kind of out of the scope of
Mhm.
the typical educator.
Yeah.
But then I got, especially out of the 10 success stories that I had, then some of them are within that tech.
Yeah.
One of my latest that I haven't posted yet, I'm waiting till it's closer to her start date. She got a role at Imagine Learning, and that
Okay.
was the first
Yeah.
in the 4 years that I've been doing this. My clients have gotten interviews at Imagine Learning, but this is like the first offer. So
Awesome.
this is major for me as
Yeah.
well as a
Definitely.
client. And I shared that with her. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I feel like Imagine Learning is like Fort Knox. Like
Mhm.
it's so hard to get a job there.
Yeah.
They used to be like at the top of my list, but because my clients weren't getting offers, I was like, oh boo. They used to be one of my favorite ed tech companies, but they're not. But now they are
Yeah.
again. But and then some of my other clients have gotten roles in corporate as well out of the 10. So, if you want to look at some of my success stories, definitely check my recommendations. But look on my page. I post my success stories at this point. It's every week or every other week that I'm posting a success story, and this will give you an idea of what type of roles are out there, but also what companies are open to hiring educators.
Yeah.
You can like keep them on your radar.
Definitely. Yeah. Definitely. So you talked about some of the services you offered, and one of the main ones is the resume side of things, and this is
Yeah.
something that's not just specific to transitioning educators. I was working in healthcare before starting at the company I'm with now, so I have a lot of connections who are nurses, and when they want to make that change too, they kind of run into that same thing that teachers do. I want to try something new, but my resume has 20 years of nursing experience. How do I translate that into something beyond that? How do I translate my skills beyond the classroom? So obviously it's going to be very different. And you and I have talked about the importance of kind of highlighting the skills that apply to the field that you're trying to enter first and foremost. But what would you say are some of the initial steps job seekers that you encourage them to do when they're trying to highlight specific skills? What are you saying? Identify these things as what you want to take with you into your next opportunity so you can find the right one, but also put that on your resume.
Yeah, one of the first questions that even is at the consultation part of the service where you're helping my career specialists are helping them navigate the website, figure out what their issue is and what package would serve them the best. We are asking them questions based on what they did like in their previous career or current career,
Mm-hmm.
because that helps with us maybe throwing some ideas at them at what possibly they're doing currently that this industry is also doing, which is again why a lot of educators go into ed tech, because
Mm-hmm.
most of the time they've used these classroom management products before, or tools or curriculum services.
Yeah.
But one of the first things, we review the resume, we talk with the client, we ask them like what they're interested in. We also ask them like what they don't want to do,
Right.
in their next role. A lot of them say, I don't want to do lesson plans, or I don't want to talk to people all day.
Yeah.
I want something that's kind of low key. So that helps us to narrow down roles for them as well.
Mm-hmm.
But and as far as highlighting their skills on the resume, it's really all about tweaking how you're explaining what you do on a day to day.
Yeah.
Now, you can't lie and totally get away from what you're doing so
Yeah.
that it's more appealing, but there's a space where you can just change up the language and highlight, hey, this is what I'm currently doing. This is how I can do it for your company as well. This is
Mm-hmm.
how these skills translate to what your company does,
Yeah.
which is why I've had such great success with helping educators transition into all fields, not
Mm-hmm.
just ed tech.
Right.
Um, and so it's really about learning the client, but also like constantly reviewing their resume, talking with them throughout the entire process, because we
Yeah.
do gather information at the beginning to create their master resume. But what's really important is during the interview process, you remembering things that you've done if we need to add things or update things before you apply.
Definitely.
Um, but it's also important for educators to do their own research as well as to what roles are out there.
Yeah.
That's another thing that we provide as well. So during onboarding, we give them their personalized spreadsheet with a long list of jobs that they could transition into.
Hmm.
And then we help narrow it down to just 3 to 4 roles to focus on for their job search.
Okay.
And you know, like these roles out here with these titles, they can mean a bunch of different things to different companies.
Hmm.
Um, so again, it's important to have that support while we're helping them tweak the resume or we're tweaking it on our own,
Yeah.
and just sending it to the client. And I know that's another reason why I love working with educators, because once we've tweaked their resume, you know, maybe a few times, they're like, oh, I get it. I
Yeah.
know what this means. I know how to do this. So a lot of times they want to just learn and then they want to do it on their own and not have to depend on the supportive services all the time.
Right.
And so I do a lot of coaching sessions. Like, this is why we did this way on the resume. And I see it, like it clicks for them. They're like, oh, I
Yeah.
understand that now. When they say this on the job description, I need to update this part of my resume and just say this. And again, because of us creating the resume for them, it makes the process a lot easier for them to just maybe move some things around or tweak or reword things. It doesn't take long at all.
Definitely. Yeah. And that's certainly great because I know I've heard some horror stories of people who have 20, 30 different copies of their resume saved for different job
Yeah.
descriptions. And it's,
Yeah, you need to make folders like this
yeah.
is for implementation specialist
Yeah.
roles, this is for customer success, this is for learning and development,
Yeah.
because after a while you'll have a good amount of resumes where you could just, use those for, future roles that you're
Yep.
applying to.
Just plug
Yeah.
and play from there for sure.
Yep.
For sure. Now, some of the other services that you offer is the interview preparation side of things. And it's always fun to me because obviously educators are great communicators. You're up in front of 20 to 30, students at a time. So you
Yeah.
know how to command and control the room, but being in front of 30 students versus being in front of 1 to 3 interviewers can be a lot different in terms of preparing for that and
Yeah.
catching nerves and things like that. So
Yeah.
what are some of the ways that you try to coach your clients to go into those interviews with confidence, and be able to hone in those communication skills that they use in their daily lives in front of those students to kind of find similar success speaking to interviewers and panels?
Yeah, so one of the first things that I have an interview prep department as well. I have staff that help me prep clients for interviews.
Mhm.
One of the first things we do is like, just breathe,
Yeah.
because they'll start getting interviews and like, oh my gosh, this is really happening,
Yeah.
and that's when the nerves hit. Um, but I find that what helps is, us reviewing the resume, because that's what the company reviews.
Yeah.
And then, we're talking about like their elevator pitch, which is
Mhm.
usually how you answer the question, tell me about yourself, or how does this role relate to your skill set?
Yeah.
And so we practice elevator pitches a lot as far as answering that question.
Mhm.
Um, and during the first round, which is usually just the phone screening, it could either be over the phone actually, or literally, or it will be a virtual interview through Zoom or Teams or Google Meet, however way the company likes to, whatever platform they like to use.
Mhm.
Um, and so that's something that they have to get used to as well, because a remote interview and an in-person interview can be different.
Mhm.
You have to be just as energetic, maybe
Right.
even more energetic through a screen as
Yeah.
opposed to in person. And so we help them with like those strategies to prep them for that. So again, we go over your elevator pitch, we review your resume, we come up with questions that they could potentially ask based on the duties of the job. That's the main part of the job description that we look at. They want to know, what have you done similar to these day-to-day duties that we need our top candidate to do every day.
Sure.
And so we go over those questions. I personally, like with my company, we like to throw in those behavioral, deeper questions, even at that first round,
Sure.
because for the time that I've been doing this, there has been, when they give me feedback on how the interview went, they'll say they did a mix of basic questions as well as behavioral questions. So I'm like, I'm glad that we went over everything because you just don't know unless they tell you. And most of the time, we all know companies are not sending you the questions ahead of time.
Right.
That's just not a normal thing, which it should be, but
Sure. Yeah.
it's just not.
Yeah.
And just to say, we have asked for questions, up front to accommodate, and some companies are willing to send the questions beforehand. So definitely kudos to those
Yeah.
companies, because that also helps settle the nerves as
Sure.
well.
Yeah.
So and then there's usually at least two more rounds, maybe three after the initial phone screening. And
Mhm.
the phone screening is basically just to get to know you and
Yeah.
also to ensure that you're a good fit to include in the rest of the interview process. So what we do is after my interview coaching staff help with the phone screening, then myself and another part of my team, we help coach them through the rest of the interviews. And that could be a panel, that could be with the person you're going to directly report to, that could be the next round. But in my experience, every round of interviews is with someone who's higher up.
Mhm.
I've even had, especially for smaller companies, I've even had clients that have interviewed with the VP or CEO in the last round. So you really got to bring your A game for
Yeah.
that. So we
Definitely.
focus on maybe like more personal questions, questions around culture, because they're judging you to make sure that you're a good fit for their culture as well.
Yeah.
But everyone needs to understand that even though you're being interviewed, you're interviewing them as well.
Mhm.
You may get to the interview process maybe towards the end and you may say, this actually isn't the job for me. I'm going to
Right.
remove myself from the interview process. I've
Mhm.
helped clients do that too, because there's a lot of things that you learn during the interview process and with speaking to different people, within the company.
Absolutely.
Um, so we help build those strategies, of course, to build their confidence, to encourage them to keep reviewing their resume, be reminded of, your skills. I mean, even if I got back out there, because I do this full time, if I went back out there and got into the job market and started applying, I would have to look at my resume and remind myself of the things
Right.
that I've done before I
Yeah.
was a coach,
Yeah.
because I was in corporate for a long time.
Mhm.
So yeah, I worked while I was in college. I worked part-time. So, I've been working since I was in corporate since I was 17
Yeah.
with a mix of roles. But anyway, through everything that I've learned, even in my career and with what this job market entails now, it is important to not just wing it. You have
Mhm.
to be prepared. So phone screenings is very specific. And then the next three rounds, as you go higher up with the people that you're talking to as far as leadership, those questions change as well.
Yeah.
So we like to give a new set of questions every step of the way, and
Definitely.
we actually meet with clients to practice as
Yeah.
well.
And that's hopefully the way it will be, and you're not getting asked the same questions every
Yeah,
round for
no.
sure. Definitely.
Yeah,
So one of the things, and again, that you and I have discussed this a lot, and I think we're a testament to this of how important networking is. I mean, you and I am connected through LinkedIn, and here we are,
yeah,
this probably like your 15th episode with me
yeah.
in the
I'm a
coach of
regular.
right, yeah, the Tyrina episode. So
Yeah,
obviously that's important, but for myself, when I came out of the classroom, I wasn't even using LinkedIn. And when you talk about networking, that's not really a thing that educators do commonly, right? There's not a ton of like trade shows or like meetups that you can do. You can, I guess, but it's not
yeah.
necessarily something they're commonly going to attend. In the local communities to get engaged with people. So how do you try to coach your clients to kind of build those genuine connections, go about meeting the right people that can also assist them, because having a career coach is just part of it, right? They need to also have a network that's going to support them in the process and that they can kind of bounce ideas from, gain encouragement from. You can't just rely on one individual to do that. So how do you try to get them to open up those doors and find the right people to kind of have in their corner as they're going through this process?
Absolutely. It is very important in this current job market to network, and
Mm.
that's with people you know and people you don't know. You gotta put yourself out there, and a lot of I'll say clients in general, people in general are nervous about that. And one of the best places, in my opinion, to network outside of like in-person events, if you ever have any, is definitely LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
I wish LinkedIn was how it is now. Back when I first started in my career, it is totally different. I
Yeah.
mean, it is like it is a social media platform, but a professional one.
Right.
And I'll say even over the past 4 years, LinkedIn has changed this like critique of like what you can post on there.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, when I got on there 4 years ago, people weren't posting pictures of their family or vacation or anything. It was straight talking about career. That's
Yeah.
it, you know. Um, but I find it is definitely okay to show your personality, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like if you have your LinkedIn link at the top of your resume, best believe these companies are coming to your page to see
Yeah.
what you post and what you talk about and maybe how your LinkedIn is optimized.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're coaching through that, because we do offer LinkedIn optimization services, and along with that service does come coaching on networking.
Yeah.
And the top three things that we like to focus on in those sessions are creating your own content. And this is after your LinkedIn is optimized. We already take care of that part.
Okay.
But
Okay.
now you need to, possibly make your own posts, which are basically I hone in on at least once a week. You want to talk about your open to work and what you're looking for, but also talking about things that you've done in your career, maybe a training that you did for educators, a professional development training, how you have modified curriculum, how you can look at data and know exactly what type of training that teachers need.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the type of things that I like to see people talk about on LinkedIn, because it always leads back to what you're transitioning into. Everything that you post or do on LinkedIn to network needs to be intentional.
Yeah.
It is also a good look to have a good amount of followers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know LinkedIn says you should have 500 plus. Work towards whatever goal you have. It is
Yeah.
okay to just have 300 people that you're connected to. You
Mm-hmm.
don't want to follow too many people because you're getting conflicting information on how you should approach your resume and all of that.
Yeah.
So, the second thing that I would say in relation to that is make sure that you're building your network so that your feed, you know how like every social media platform has a feed.
Yeah.
TikTok has a For You page, Instagram, basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Um, you have to train the algorithm on LinkedIn to give you what you want. So
Mm-hmm.
that means connecting with people that work at these companies. Say, Curriculum Associates is one of the companies that you would love to go for. So whatever roles you're going after, if anyone is in that similar role, connect with them,
Yeah.
start a conversation, build a rapport. I also advise people to connect with companies that they would love to work for, but maybe aren't hiring right now. You can still connect and start building a rapport so that you could be considered when they are,
Yeah.
hiring.
Right.
Um, One of the other things too is commenting on job posts.
Mm-hmm.
So LinkedIn works just like any other algorithm on social media. If it sees you, like I always give this example, me and my sisters, we share cat videos. So a lot of my feed is cat videos. I share
Yeah.
marriage videos with my husband.
Mm-hmm.
There's a mix of marriage videos in there too. So
Yeah.
LinkedIn works the same way. I did it myself. Last year, I said, let me really just think about what I want my feed to be, what
Yeah.
I want it to look like. And of course, a mix of teachers who are looking to transition, but also like a lot of times educators, the issues that they're having is they're not able to find jobs
Yeah.
like that they're interested in.
Yeah.
So what I did for like a month straight, and you see it, I'm
Mm-hmm.
always reposting jobs,
Yeah.
always. Whether it's my clients looking for those type of jobs or anyone in
Mm-hmm.
my that's connected with me.
Yeah.
And so after some weeks of me doing that, now my feed has a good mix of course, teachers looking for help, but also companies that are hiring. So a lot of times people that work at these companies, they will post that their job is hiring. That's what I want to see.
Right.
And then if I'm not posting my own content that day, I'm reposting everything
Yeah.
that I see.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people will reach out to me after they got an interview, whether they're my client or not, and they'll say, Tyrina, thank you so much for sharing this role. I got an interview tomorrow with this company because I saw your post, so following those type of people and building those connections, even also building your connections with fellow transitioning educators, because
Yeah.
it takes support. It
Yeah.
takes talking to each other. Maybe they're not looking for the same roles you are, but guess what? When they come across a certain role, oh, Matt's looking for this. Let me send this to him. I'm
Right.
not interested in it. So it takes a village.
Yeah.
It takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to transition
Yeah.
out of education.
It definitely does.
Yes, my T Lassiter Services is your main hub, but there's a lot of things that you have to do on your own as well,
Definitely.
through our coaching and directives.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. So, Tyrina, before I let you go, I always like to give you some time. You got a lot of people can visit your website. I know you do a lot on social media outside of LinkedIn too. So, let the people know where they can find you, where they can connect with you. What they can do if they want to look into the services that you offer as a way to help them take their next step in their career.
Absolutely. So LinkedIn is the main place I am. You can follow me, Tyrina Lassiter, and we do $10 consultations. If you want to learn more about our services, if you actually want to hire us, definitely click the link at the top of my LinkedIn page and you can book a consultation, or you can come in my DMs, my inbox, and we can have a conversation before you decide to book a consultation as well. You can also follow me at Ed Transition Navigator on Instagram. I post a lot of reels on there. Most of my content is based around what companies are hiring educators right now.
Okay.
So I like to post current jobs that are hiring. And then I'm also on TikTok at Tyrina Lassiter, and Ed Transition Navigator is my name on there as well. I post a mix. I post a mix of like talk to screen because that's how TikTok is,
Right.
but I also do those same posts of what jobs are hiring. I do a lot of on TikTok. I do a lot of talking around what has helped my clients transition,
Mhm.
that where other people may be in that situation, same situation. So definitely follow me on TikTok. I'm growing my following on there as well. And then my website, last but not least, www.tlassiterservices.com. We offer, of course, resume and cover letter services. That's the basis of our services. But we also do job search strategy coaching. We do LinkedIn networking coaching, and we optimize your LinkedIn for you. Um, and of course, interview coaching as well.
Yep.
So definitely check us out.
Definitely. All right. Perfect. Well, again, thank you as always for being here and sharing your insight, your wisdom into the field. If you are not following connected with Tyrina yet, make sure you do that. I will make sure to link her account on the post here. So if you're watching this, you have no excuse. You know where to find her. But we'll be back the following Monday. Thank you again for watching, for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.
Right. Thank you for having me again, Matt.
Of course.